Hey guys, it's me, Kate, and today I decided to make a fantasy video. So, today I'm going to make a wrap up video, but this is going to be a wrap up video on one particular book. So, today I'm going to make a review on my not favorite book, but a very challenging and controversial book that I have been considering to read for a very long time, and I managed to complete this novel back in December 2019. Yeah, at the beginning of December. And why did it take me so long? Because, well, as I've already mentioned, it's a very challenging book. And before reading it, I actually read a lot of different reviews and different opinions on this novel, and I watched a movie adaptation when I was 12. Well, maybe not 12, 10, 10, yep. And I didn't get a thing. Actually, I understood nothing because I was too small, I suppose. So, without further ado, today's review is going to be about Philip Pullman's Northern Lights. So, as we all know, Northern Lights is the first part in Philip Pullman's trilogy, his Dark Materials. As you can see, this is a movie cover, and as I also watched the series, the brand new series that came out last November, I decided to draw parallels and draw comparisons between the book itself and the series, the BBC series. So, speaking of the book, this novel was written in 1995. You can imagine how long ago it was. And what is great about this book is that it can be adapted in every year, in every period, as Philip Pullman didn't exactly set his story in some particular exact setting. So we don't know where and when is it the action is going on. And well, there was some year, I suppose 1980s, like described at the beginning of I think the Book of Dust, which is a prequel to the original trilogy. But actually, when reading the book, I didn't spot an exact time period and an exact setting. So that's one of the perks of the book, that it can be set in any era, in every year, in every period. And well, I suppose I should provide a short summary for those who are not acquainted with this book, if there are such people. Okay, so we follow this 12-year-old orphan named Lyra Belacqua. She lives in Oxford and in Jordan College, to be precise. So she's surrounded by these old scholars, scientists, and to tell the truth, she actually doesn't want to study anything. Because as a child, she wants running around Jordan College, discovering some hidden corners of this ancient building. She has a friend with whom she spends most of her time. His name is Roger Parslow, and he's a servant. So, and it appears that she's not a complete orphan, as we might think at the beginning. She has an uncle whose name is Lord Asriel, but they are not very close, actually, because he's a very busy person and he comes and goes on his north expeditions, so to discover some new experiences and conduct some researches, so he rarely comes. And when he does, he is very strict, sometimes even rude, and well, he just checks on Lyra. How's she doing? How's her assignments? And nothing else. And he's pretty mysterious. He looks like a very tall guy with dark eyes, and his whole personality is quite mysterious, you know. And Lyra misses him very much because she has no one else, no other relatives. And one day, she finds out that her best friend Roger Parslow was kidnapped by this mysterious organization. The children in Jordan College and in Oxford call these people the Gobblers. And Lyra is so upset and so worried about her best friend, she decides to set off to nowhere, actually, to find him. And she, as usual, has companions who help her throughout the journey to find her kidnapped friend. And she also finds out that mysterious Mrs. Coulter kidnapped or like helped kidnapping Lord Asriel. And she also wants to find him. Well, speaking of the narrative, after providing a short summary, I must say that I really enjoyed the style because Philip Pullman is a great storyteller, definitely. And if you want to find text filled with many different artistic devices and creative, interesting ideas, you should definitely pick this novel up. And what else? I suppose children would be interested in like following Lyra throughout her journeys and discovering new things, because Lyra has never left Jordan College and she has no idea what awaits her on the journey, so she's often surprised by what's happening. She can't understand like grown-ups or adults' deeds, actions. Why do they do so? Why do they want to carry out this action? Why do they think like that? Why are they different from children? And why are these people so complicated? She also meets this beautiful, huge polar bear named Yorick Benison, and he becomes like a father figure for Lyra, as she has no close relatives except for Lord Asriel. And she also meets Lise Crosby, who also becomes kind of a father figure for Lyra. So yeah, and well, I liked the idea that the main character, the main female character, Lyra, has grown up throughout the narrative, that she is no longer a child when we see her at the end of the novel. She is almost an adult because she has gone through so many hardships, through so many obstacles, that she managed to strengthen her character and become a better and stronger person. So I like when children have to go through different adventures, different obstacles, and overcome different difficult situations to become the people they are eventually, and to discover something new, to discover their personality and find their place in our huge and sometimes dangerous world. So yeah, that's what I liked about this book, the progression of Lyra. And also one thing that really impressed me was the animals. So the animals who personify human soul in this Philip Pullman's world of his dark materials. So each person in this parallel dimension has a demon. And not like demon, it's a small or a big animal that personifies a soul, actually. And the interesting fact is that when the person grows up, his demon can't change the form. So it eventually turns into one particular animal for the rest of the person's life. So yeah, but while the person is a child, due to the child's mood or feelings that the child is trying to express, or I don't know, anything that like influences the child, the child's demon can transform into various animals. For example, Lyra's demon, if I'm not mistaken, turns into almost 20 different animals throughout the book. Yeah, so you can imagine like children will enjoy reading the book and like observing Pantalaimon, the Lyra's demon, transforming into 20 different animals. And these are like all of the advantages that I personally spotted and that I personally like found for myself. And let me concentrate on disadvantages right now, because to my mind there were some topics like politics, oppression, religion that are not particularly for young people, young children. Like, so maybe I won't recommend reading this book children under 12, because apart from politics, oppression, religion, the narrative itself contains some violent scenes that even I, who are a grown-up person, I'm 24 years old, I couldn't stand some of the scenes. They were too tough and too violent, and there's a lot of tension actually. So that's what like spoiled my mood when reading the book. And well, one more thing that I didn't like about this book is that actually the family values are challenged throughout the book. So we find out that Lyra, in the end, she has no family. She thought she had, but eventually it turned out that these people who she considered her real good family didn't care about her. They were all like obsessed with some adult ideas and some scientific researches and all those things that a child at the age of 12 can't understand completely. So all she wanted for her whole life was discovering her true family and trying to be happy, to find herself. She managed to find herself, but she didn't manage to find real family. That's what like made me feel strange at the end of the book. So I thought that she would finally discover her family and be happy, but no. But you know, the fact that I liked about this book is that there are no, like, not no good characters, but characters who are not completely good. So as real people can't be black or white, they can only be, there are always different colors, different shades. So maybe that's why I liked this book, because it portrays people who are forced to make difficult decisions that can change their lives forever. And well, speaking of the main character, for example, Lord Asriel, he's not a completely good person. He decided to sacrifice his family for his scientific experiments, scientific researches, and some like high political goals. So this is what I didn't like. But in general, all of these animals, polar bears, Lyra's adventures, and all the views described in the book pleased me. And I was really pleased with the characters because, as I've already said, they are all pretty complicated. Okay, now after describing my impressions and thoughts on this book, I would like to concentrate on the movie adaptation because there are two official movie adaptations. One came out in 2006 with Daniel Craig and Nicole Kidman. Probably most of the people know about this one. And to be honest, I liked Dakota Blue Richards playing Lyra. She did good. But as I haven't read the book when watching this version in 2006, I was messed up. I didn't catch the idea and it was like a complete mess. I just didn't get what was the story about. And now, when having read the original novel, you can see that this is the movie cover, I decided to watch the series. And to be honest, I enjoyed watching them, but there were some episodes that I was bored with. And actually, what I liked about the series were some extra scenes for Lord Asriel, Mrs. Coulter, and some minor characters who were not not mentioned, but who didn't get this big story, their own story in the book. And it was really interesting to observe the changes in different characters and witness the view of directors. I must say that all the 8 episodes were directed by different people, completely different people, but when watching the series you don't spot this one because all of these directors are true professionals. For example, the first 2 episodes were directed by Tom Hooper. As we all know, he made such movies as The King's Speech with Colin Firth and The Miserables, based on Victor Hugo's famous novel. So I enjoyed watching, I suppose, the first 3 episodes, and the rest of it was like a bit boring because I knew what was going on and like how the story will end. And speaking of the last 2 episodes, the 7th and the 8th, they made me cry because the most significant perk of this series is James McAvoy and of course Daphne Keane. Daphne Keane did a good job because she managed to portray Lyra she managed to catch Lyra's true character expressed and described in the book. She was so live and so nice and wild at the same time that I really enjoyed her acting and her performance. So, if I compare Dakota Blue Richards and Daphne King, I definitely stand for Daphne King. She touched me to the bottom of my heart. And speaking of James McAvoy, what I liked about his performance was that he managed to bring something new to Lord Asriel, because as I've already mentioned, we mostly don't see this character throughout the book. There are several episodes, but we don't have clear idea of this character. And James managed to bring something new, bring this character to life, and show us that he's also a human, because in the book he's quite tough, quite rude, and mysterious, quiet person. You don't get much from him. And like James managed to reimagine this character. For example, I enjoyed watching the scene where he puts Lyra to bed, and that he watches her with such love and care. This is his child, and he's so happy about that. Well, he has like very sad eyes throughout the story, and sometimes like crazy eyes. You know what I'm talking about? This James McAvoy, yeah. But at the same time, being so rude and like mysterious, he managed to keep being human. And when he talks to Lyra in one of the episodes, like I suppose it was episode 8, um, you can see that he's trying to show that he doesn't care about her, but somewhere deep in his heart, he just wants something better for Lyra. He doesn't want to challenge her, and he doesn't want to threaten her and to put her to danger. So, and like watching the scene where he speaks to his servant and asks the servant to watch for Lyra, for him to care for Lyra, it's like it broke my heart, because I was so touched, and I actually like felt sorry for the character. So James managed to make Lord Asriel more human. And of course, I also enjoyed the episode where Lyra finally reaches the north and the polar bear's kingdom, and like comes to her father, because we find out, like I think in the middle of the novel, that Lord Asriel is not Lyra's uncle but her father. And like watching his eyes filled with tears and fear, because he had a prophecy that he should kill some child to release this huge energy current to break all the borders, all the fences, and create a door to new worlds. And like seeing and watching him being filled with fear, and his eyes filled with fear, because he thinks that, oh my god, no, I have to kill my own daughter, I won't do it. So James managed to transmit his character's emotion through the screen to the viewers, and that what actually caught my eye and made me feel so sorry for all the characters. And when watching the last episode and the last scene where he eventually kills Roger Parslow and enters another world, and watching Lyra being so broken, so upset, watching a child being broken and upset is heartbreaking. And I just thought, like, how could it end like that? And what did you do to this child? You, like, broke her character, you broke her heart, and she thought that this person was her father, someone she could trust, and he like ruined her trust, betrayed her. That's what made me cry when watching this scene. So I couldn't help myself and bursted out into tears because of that. Yeah. And actually, like I said, Lord Asriel gets some extra episodes. Mrs. Coulter also gets some extra episodes that were not included and that were not actually present in the original novel. For example, when she talks to Polar Bear King, this one wasn't included into the original novel. And, well, actually, there is one scene where Macosta, who appeared to be Lyra's nanny when Lyra was a small child, tells her and reveals the story of Lyra's true family. In the book, it was John Farr who actually told Lyra this story, but they decided to change tables, you know. And, well, there were some like insignificant changes and some really significant ones that like turned the story into another direction a little bit. For example, like they linked two different novels in one series, like because there are some scenes that were present in the second novel, not in the first one. And all these new technologies, we know that when filming a movie in the 21st century and in 2019, or like it was filmed in 2018, we can't omit new technologies, smartphones, laptops, and these huge computers. So all of these new technologies were also included into the movie. And like when watching the series, you can draw comparisons and differences between two different worlds. So our modern world and Lyra's world. So Lyra's world is set, I think, in some like 1950s or 1960s atmosphere, and like it's a huge difference to our modern 21st century world. So just to show what oppression did, oppression and overuse of power, what it has done to Lyra's world. That Lyra's world like is somewhere at the back and is not as progressive as the 21st century and our modern world. So yeah, that was also interesting to observe. And one more scene that actually I liked was when it was in the first episode, I suppose, directed by Tom Hooper, when Lyra asks her uncle to stay in Jordan College, and in case he can't stay, she asks him to take her with him to the north, says that she will be useful, that like they are relatives and they need to stick together, but he's like a very busy person and he doesn't want to harm her, so like he just backs off and says like, no, you should stay here, I have no time for you, I have to go. But when watching, we all understand why is he so rude and unattentive, you know, and impersonal, because he tries to protect his own child. But when watching Lyra like crying when seeing her uncle leaving Jordan College, I was like, what is he doing? It's his child, he can't just leave her like that. But we see that when he was up in the air, he saw his child standing at the middle of Jordan College crying. His heart was breaking, you could see that. So what I enjoyed is that Lord Asriel in the movie adaptation or series adaptation wasn't as indifferent and as rude as he was in the original novel. So thanks James McAvoy for bringing something new to the character. Well, I suppose this was all for my today's review. I managed to draw comparisons between the movie or the series and the original novel, and share my personal opinion on the novel itself. So, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. And see you next time, guys. Bye.